Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I want to talk about why I'm really excited for the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. So Games Workshop kind of sent me the new Leviathan box, and I have been flicking through the pages of this giant big book here, and I have also tried a game of Combat Patrol with one of my friends, and it was just a lot of fun, and so I am really excited. And in this video I want to share with you why I am particularly excited for this edition. So the thing is, I have been in this hobby for about 5 years now, and I started out with Age of Sigmar, and it was quite a long time before I actually dipped my toes into Warhammer 40,000. And one of the reasons was that, to be honest, I am more of a fantasy person than a sci-fi person. So just like visually, the fantasy stuff appeals to me more. But on the other hand, I think I also really want to play the game where I have a lot of people to actually play with. And in my local area, there are just so many more people who are active in the 40k community than the Age of Sigmar community, for instance. And so I eventually decided that I wanted to try it out. And my first Warhammer 40,000 army was my Bubblegum Boys, my Orc army, and I still have these today, and I still paint stuff for them, and I still play with them. But the thing is, even though I have had those for about 3 years, I've had them since the new Gaskell model came out, I have never really gotten the hang of 40k, and that is actually why I'm really excited for the new edition, because to me at least, 40k right now, 9th edition, seems like a game that is both difficult to learn and difficult to master. And so it seems like if I tried getting into it when 9th edition came out, and I played a little bit of games, and then because I deal with mental health issues, I often have some periods, some months, where I'm not really able to play much or go out much and do stuff. And so I've had a lot of breaks between games, and it just seems to me every time I've had a break from 40k, when I get back to it, more and more stuff has been piled on top of it, and it gets just more and more difficult for me to get back into it. And so it just seems really overwhelming. And it's not because I'm like totally new to wargaming, because as I've said, I've played a lot of Age of Sigmar, so I know how it works, and I know about measuring distances and throwing dice and determining how many wounds have you got left, and all sorts of things. I know about tabletop wargaming, so that's not it. It just seems that 40k has so many rules piled on top of each other, and so whenever I have been playing after having a break, I find that I spend so much time just flicking through the pages of the books and trying to find the relevant information that I need for the next thing I'm going to do. And it's fine spending some time, especially if you're new to a game, spending some time with the rules and trying to look up information, but feeling like you spend more time trying to find the relevant information than actually throwing the dice and pushing your models around, to me that is not that enjoyable. And also the thing is, right now I feel like I'm slowing my opponent down. I don't think I'm much fun to play against or play with, because I'm slow. I'm really slow. So playing a game of like a 2,000 points game of 40k with me right now is going to not just take 2 or 3 hours, it's going to take 4 or 5, because I'm really slow. And I also get a little bit anxious because I don't want to mess stuff up, and I really want to get it right. And then I get nervous because I feel like, okay, I know that I'm slow, and I know that I'm spending too much time looking things up and double checking stuff. And so it just gets a little bit overwhelming to me, and it makes it even more difficult for me to get games in, because I feel like I can't really ask people if they want to play, because I'm not sure they're going to have a good time, basically. So what I'm really excited about for the new edition is that it seems like there will be a lot less bookkeeping. I like the fact that we are going to have less stratagems, because especially for me as a not very experienced player, the orcs have so many stratagems, and I don't really know which ones are good, and I can't remember when to use them. And as I said, I'm already a slow player, so I don't want to slow things down even more by standing around and looking through all my stratagems, trying to figure out which ones are going to be relevant. And also, I don't know what stratagems my opponent has, and so sometimes it can feel like a bit of a gotcha moment when they pull out a strategy and say, oh, by the way, I can do this. And you're like, okay, okay. I wasn't expecting that, so I wasn't playing around that, so now I have just, positioned myself really badly or put myself into like a really disadvantageous situation. And it's not like I'm playing always to win or anything. It's just gotcha moments are just they just don't feel good. And it's not that my opponent isn't playing fair or isn't being helpful or kind. It's just that my knowledge of the rules are just not good enough for me to actually be up to speed on all the relevant aspects of the game, because I feel like it's just so huge and so overwhelming and has so many books you need to buy and all sorts of things, and I just can't really keep up with it. But I really hope that for 10th edition, with much fewer stratagems, and it seems like a lot of the rules will be more freely available, and also the fact that you're going to have so much more information specifically on the data cards, so you don't have to flick through a book to find it. You can actually just look at the data card and it'll tell you what to do and what you can do and when you can do it. And I'm looking forward to that immensely. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to it, because Age of Sigmar had War Scroll cards for a long time, and I always use those because they're so... I just feel like they're so helpful. I get out the War Scrolls for the units I have in my army, and as units die, I just discard the cards, and then I end up having just those left that I'm actually going to be using. I think it's really helpful, and I really look forward to that. Another thing that I think is going to be a lot of fun is actually playing the Combat Patrol, because I have played a little bit of Kill Team, and while it was fun, one of the things that I really appreciate about the whole wargaming thing is that you have an army. You're presenting an army on a tabletop, and I think it just looks visually appealing to me that both sides have an army instead of just a small like warband or kill team. I'm just more of an army kind of person than a warband kind of person, I think. I think it feels more like epic to me that you have two armies fighting, even if those armies like in the Combat Patrol are smaller than like a full scale 2000 points game or whatever. But I think the Combat Patrol is going to be really fun and really, really accessible, especially to people like me who are not very experienced or even entirely new to the hobby, just because you don't have to list build. And I know a lot of people think that list building is really part of the fun and what makes wargaming so cool, and you can really sit down and sort of min-max your list and try to find the best synergies and all sorts of things, and I totally respect that. But for people who don't really know how to do that and find it overwhelming, like I often do, I really hate list building for 40k. I find myself just, again, being anxious that perhaps I forgot something. Perhaps I end up bringing something that was actually illegal to bring, and I wasn't aware of that, and all sorts of things. So having a set list, this is what comes in the box, and this is what you can bring, this is what you can play with, and you have these rules. That is just going to be really helpful to me, and I guess to other people like me, that you know exactly what you can bring, and it's the same units you'll bring every time. So I think you'll pretty easily and pretty quickly get the hang of what can these units do, and then you don't have to do much bookkeeping at all. I think you can then get in like actual games of 40k and get to playing really quickly, and not just spending hours looking through books and rules, but just playing and throwing dice and having fun. And I'm looking forward to that so much. That's not to say I'm not going to play 2000 points games, because I am, and I look forward to that. I have actually, even to keep myself motivated, and because I thought it would be fun, I have joined a team that is going to go to the Danish ICT team championship tournaments, and I've joined a team that are going to compete for that. I have absolutely no chance of winning, and the entire team is like me, we all know that. So the name of the team is actually the team Meta Losers, because we are going to be losing so badly that it's going to be sort of meta and ridiculous and fun. So it's going to be silly and fun, and I think we're going to have a blast, because there are some really cool guys, and I really look forward to it. So yeah, I'm going to be perhaps I have promised the guys. So I'm going to be a 40k tournament player. I think I'm going to be not a very successful one, but hopefully I'm going to be now a 40k player that you actually want to play with and against, because I am going to have a chance to master the rules. I think I really hope it's going to be the new edition is going to be sort of a case of easy to learn how to master, and so I hope I will actually be able to go to tournaments and have learned the rules at least. I'm not sure I'm ever going to be like a really great strategist or anything for 40k, but at least I hope I won't slow stuff down and I can play without being anxious about being not fun to play with, basically. So now all that's left for me before sort of the launch of 10th edition and trying to actually get more games in and going to tournaments even, I gotta figure out which army of mine that I'm going to focus on. So for that I was hoping that you guys might help me out, because I have some different choices, and some of them are more obvious or easy to go with than others. And so the first choice would be my orcs. So my bubblegum boys, like this one, I have an entire 2000 points plus army of orcs. So these are just easy to pick up and go with right away. The downside to the orc army is that I'm not actually sure that I am sort of cut out to be an orc player. I'm a bit more cautious, and I like to stand back, at least when I've been playing Age of Sigmar. I like to sort of stand back a little bit, perhaps do sort of a castle strategy, and do a lot of shooting, and yeah, just sort of holding a little bit back and not just running straight out into the middle and see what happens, which is, well, basically all that the orcs really want to do. And I find that really difficult, so I'm really bad at playing with my orcs because I tend to hold it back and I'm afraid to lose any of them, and that's just not the way to play orcs. So perhaps I should go for something else. So another option is to go for the Guard, the Imperial Guard. I have the starter box that came out, Cadia Stance I think it was called, and so I have painted just a couple of them, and I had fun painting them, but I mean, this is also a horde army, which is fine. I don't mind horde armies, but I think it's going to take me a long time before I have a playable army, so perhaps that's not exactly the way to go if I want to go to tournaments this year. So, but I don't know. I still really think the new Guard models are cool, though. So, another option, of course, is to go with the Tyranids. I have the Leviathan box, and while this was I only have this model painted, so of course there's a long way to go before I have an entire 2000 points army. But this color scheme I've chosen to go with for the Tyranids is a much quicker color scheme than the one I chose for the Guards, so perhaps it's not quite as unrealistic to actually have a playable army before, 5 or 10 years have gone by. Another option is my Chaos Space Marines army, painted like this. And I have only painted the models that I really thought were fun, so I have no idea how close or how far away I am from actually having a playable army, so that would probably be where I needed to start. But I have a lot of models lying around, and I have also some that are painted, so that might be fun. And the last army that I have well, I don't have an army, I have one model, but it's a big one, is the Chaos Knights, and I guess I might be able to sort of ally them into the Chaos Space Marine army, though I'm not exactly sure how that works. As I said, I'm not really good with the 40k rules as they are right now, but if I could ally this in, then I'm probably, like, points-wise much closer to a playable 40k army. So, but I don't know, I could also just go with pure Chaos Knight army, just because, I mean, Chaos Knights are fun. It's a big robot. I haven't glued it in place just because it's easier to store this way. But I could go with that as well, and I really liked painting it. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't know. Should I go with the Orc army that's already done? Should I go with something completely different like the Guard or the Tyranids, or should I go with the Chaos Space Marines / the Chaos Knights? Because I have some that are painted, but it's also quite a time-intensive color scheme that I have chosen to go with. So perhaps it's not the most practical thing to do, but it would still be fun, and I would love to actually get a chance to play them on the tabletop. So yeah, let me know. What do you think? Which army should I go for? You can come with a suggestion. I mean, you're very welcome to come with a suggestion that, isn't actually one of the armies that I already have models for. But I would, perhaps I would have to keep, not tell my wife, because I don't think she would be very impressed if I told her I was starting a sixth Warhammer 40k army. I don't know. So anyways, those are my reasons for being really, really hyped for the 10th edition of Warhammer 40k. So I would, of course, also love to know why you're excited for it, if you're excited for it, and if you're not excited for it, I would also like to know why. So yeah, let me know in the comments. And of course, as always, you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram as Dice and Demons. And lastly, a thank you to my patrons who are supporting this channel. It means the world to me. I really appreciate it, guys. So thank you to Thomas Madsen, to Gwenael, to Andrew Correa, Anthony Paul Castro, TJ Kubiak, Mando Project, Starcon85, Espear, and Echinococus. So thank you, and of course, if you also want to join these fabulous people, you can do so on my Patreon, and I'll leave a link to that in the show notes. I'll also leave a link to Huge Miniatures, where you can buy the fluorescent paints I use in most of my painting projects, and I also have a coupon code for it, so if you use that you get 5% off, and you still also help support this channel. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!